So what is going on, guys? I am Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another video on the channel, where today what I wanted to do was revisit a question that I kind of answered a few years ago, but as I was playing this map, Transit, and doing a bit of exploration, I realized there was a lot more to this. What I'm referring to is how some of these zombies in Transit are wearing items of clothing such as straitjackets and gowns, and I said, well, there must be some kind of hospital or asylum near Transit where they've come from. That was about the extent of my answer, but whilst I was roaming around in theatre mode, I noticed we know exactly where they come from, and there are some other odd things to do with this map that I want to talk about as well. So if you pay attention to all of these zombies that you find in Transit and look at what they're wearing, you will notice they all have something in common. They're all wearing clothing related to TRANZIT Sanatorium, and this is strange because Transit, of course, is a big map. It's not like any other zombies map that we have, where it's more of an enclosed space. In places like that, you'd expect to see people wearing similar types of clothing, but in a town, which is what Transit is, located in Hanford, you would expect to see people wearing work clothing from their different professions. So you might have someone in their mechanic jumpsuit or retail clothing, or just general items of clothing such as shorts, jeans, a t-shirt. People from every walks of life would have been in Hanford, yet we only see the zombies here wearing one thing. And I say this because if we look at other zombies maps, the zombies in Origins are either ex-Group 935 employees or knights from the Great War. In Buried, those are zombies from the Old West that lived in that town. So zombies that we see in our maps are usually people that lived or worked wherever the map takes place. So you would expect to see that same thing in Transit, but we don't have that mixture. Instead, if you take a look at every single zombie that we see, this one right here is wearing a straitjacket. There's not really too much to it. There's not a logo on his sleeve. But then the one behind him, in my opinion, looks more like an employee. He's got kind of a jacket shirt on, some pants, and on his sleeve you can see it says TRANZIT Sanatorium. But the most interesting thing is he's got some kind of device around his neck. It's the same for the one behind him, wearing similar items of clothing, just different colours, but it says TRANZIT Sanatorium on his sleeve. He's wearing this same collar. If you just take a closer look at it, the only bits of detail are on the back. There's kind of these white lines that go up in a triangle, and then on the side there's this blue square. Further on back there is another zombie wearing an orange jumpsuit, wearing this same collar. I did notice on the back of his head, does this look normal? Yes, he is a zombie, and if you look at all of them, their skin is totally messed up, their facial structures are deformed, but I don't know, it kind of looks like in this situation that his skull may have been cracked open and then put back together. That's something we can come on to, but if we just look at the rest, there is another zombie in a straitjacket. There is one here in a hospital gown, which doesn't look too different until you look on his wrist, where he's wearing a wristband. I don't know if these have been extracted from the game files and you can get a better look at them that way, but you can't tell what the writing says on it. It's too blurred, but you can notice a yellow square on it. And I point this out because if you look at other zombies that are wearing this wristband, they have the same square but in a different colour. So this other zombie wearing a gown has a green wristband compared to the yellow one, and this other zombie again wearing a gown. It's all of the gown zombies that wear this wristband. This one has a red square in its wrist. Those are all of the zombie models that you will find. So you can see every single one of them is wearing items of clothing from TRANZIT Sanatorium. At the time of the zombie apocalypse, when our transit crew arrive here, there are no zombies that would have been civilians roaming around Transit. Well, it seems like all of the regular people have left, and the only ones left are these patients from the sanatorium. The ones wearing these shirts do look like they could have been employees, but then when you take a look at the collar around their necks, that tells me different. And I suppose the main question should be, well, what exactly is this around its neck? It looks like it could be a shock collar, right, which would suggest that these aren't employees then, these must also be patients. But it could be a lot of things. Perhaps TRANZIT Sanatorium wasn't just a sanatorium for people, but because we know Broken Arrow operated here, perhaps they took control of the sanatorium and the patients that they had were the undead. And this was some kind of collar that they made to attempt to control them. That is a random theory. Who knows what went on there? This could just be a shock collar, which, getting back to what I was saying, tells us all of these zombies we see in Transit were from TRANZIT Sanatorium. Now, Hanford is a real life place. The Transit map is based off Hanford in real life, although not down to a T, which means the TRANZIT Sanatorium was a real place. Now, there's hardly any information about it online. We do have a few pictures. This was it from 1915. The building has since then been demolished. I don't know what year that happened in. I can't find any information about it, but a community hospital is in its place now. But by the time we play Transit, it takes place in the year 2035. Now, the rockets from Moon hit Earth 10 years before in 2025, which means the zombies here could have been roaming around for that long, 10 years. But if you take a look at Transit itself, there is one thing that really stands out compared to any other map, and that is that it looks like it's almost stuck in time. If you didn't know the year this map takes place in, you would probably think it's in the 40s or the 50s, the 60s, but Transit is in 2035. It doesn't look like a modern day or futuristic location. It looks like a place that's been stuck in the past for a very long time. And if these zombies came from TRANZIT Sanatorium, not Hanford's new community hospital that replaced it. I don't know if there's a sanatorium in Hanford anymore, but if these zombies here came from the old sanatorium, that would tell us the zombies that we see here, or at least when they were people, before they became zombified, must have been here for a long time as well. The question now is, why does Transit look like it's in the 60s when it's not? And we can actually see from the postcards that we see in the loading screen for Diner, Farm and the bus depot, what Transit looked like in the past when people were living here. What went on in this town to cause it to freeze in time? And what I've always found weird about one of these postcards is on the bus depot one, we see everything looks normal, besides from behind the bus, there is a huge gulf of flames coming towards everything, about to engulf Transit. Now, if you know the zombie storyline, you would say, well, this must be the point in time when the 3 rockets from Moon hit Earth. This big gulf of flames must be from one of the rockets hitting Transit, but we don't know if one of the rockets even hit this place. We know one of them hit in Nuketown because that is shown to us in the ending cutscene, but it's never been confirmed that one of them hit Transit. There are theories that it did. I mean, just look at the place, it's completely destroyed, but so are many other locations. So is Buried. There's a massive gaping hole in the ground where the earth is fractured. So is Die Rise. We've got skyscrapers hanging over. There's theories that the reason the buildings are falling over is because they were hit by the moon rocket. But if we've got Nuketown, Transit, Die Rise and Buried as possible locations, well, that's 4 maps and only 3 rockets. We only have 1 confirmed location where the other 2 hit has never officially been told to us. Now, I always thought one must have hit Transit anyway, but like I said, the rockets hit Earth in the year 2025. Does this postcard look like a place that is in that year? No, it looks like somewhere in the 50s. Now, there is also the fact that this is a postcard, not something we're seeing in real time. So why would this even be on here in the first place is another question. But if the rockets hit in 2025, that would explain why the town hasn't changed since then, but it doesn't explain why it still looks like it's from 60, 70 years ago. I will say there are a lot of places, especially smaller towns in America, that still have retro looking buildings like this, so that could be the answer. But we do know one more thing went on in Transit, which was the Hanford Project. The Hanford site, or Site W as it's been known, which was established in the 40s, was a part of the Manhattan Project. It was the home of the world's first full-scale plutonium production reactor. And we know plutonium was used in the first atomic bomb, so because this was so important, it was top secret. Anyway, to set up the site in the first place, residents of Hanford were forced to leave. I think it was about 1,500 people that were moved from Hanford to other places across the US. Any schools in the area soon became project offices, but I will say it was only small communities that were moved, mainly from the valleys, not bigger towns like we see in the map Transit, which I could have used as an excuse as to why it looks like it's stuck in time, because in the 40s people were moved from the town, regular civilians no longer lived here, which is why it got stuck in time. But in terms of our zombie storyline, we know Broken Arrow worked here. If you don't know, Broken Arrow was a government-funded program that was created by the US for the primary intention of preventing a zombie outbreak, or I should say another one, but they were up to a lot more. They conducted their own zombie experiments, they created their own wonder weapons, their own teleporters. We know the reactor that we see in Transit, in the power station, houses Avogadro. So is it possible, and this is just a theory, there's no proof to back this up, that because Broken Arrow was a government-funded program, they moved people out of the town so that they could conduct their experiments? But I will say Avogadro is literally hidden in a toilet. The secret entrance to the power station is going through the loo. If there was no one here, I would think they wouldn't have to hide it as much, but that probably wouldn't be the case. But who knows? And with all that wrapped up, that brings me back to what was the main topic of this video, the zombies in this map. If they come from the sanatorium, how long have they been roaming around? How did they even escape the sanatorium in the first place? Did they get released when one of the rockets destroyed the sanatorium and they escaped that way? Have they just been locked in the sanatorium since the place was abandoned and then eventually became infected with 115 and escaped? Why are some of them wearing shock collars? I guess it would make sense. I mean, people in places like this probably in extreme cases would have been made to wear devices like this, maybe, but the most interesting thing to me is that we don't see any regular civilian zombies in transit. Everybody's gone. It seems like this place was abandoned a long time ago and the only ones that were left here were these people in the mental asylum. Because we know in order to turn into a zombie, you have to die first and then become infected with 115. It's not like in the movies where you just get bitten and then you turn. You have to be killed and then your body is reanimated with the element. So maybe these people died in the asylum years and years ago and then in 2025 became infected with element 115 and have been roaming around for 10 years since they came face to face with Misty, Malton, Stuhlinger, and Samuel. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.